This is Stephen A. Williams, president and founder of the creditrepairshop.com, and I ran across this article from the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. It was back in May of 2022, but I think that a lot of people are experiencing something similar to this. So I wanted to kind of go over it and give you some information on if your bank account is getting frozen or you had it seized or money was taken out by a debt collector. In some states, this is allowed, and in some states, it's only allowed if it's a business transaction. So, just reading on right here, it said on May 4th, 2022, the Bureau issued a consent order against Bank of America NA, an insured depository institution, to address Bank of America's processing of garnishment notices. A garnishment notice is a notice issued by a court or judgment creditor directing a financial institution to freeze and then turn over a consumer's funds to pay off a court-ordered debt. The Bureau found that Bank of America engaged in unfair and deceptive acts and practices in violation of the Consumer Financial Protection Act of 2010. Specifically, Bank of America unfairly required consumers to waive its liability as to the consumer's garnishment related protections in its deposit agreement and misrepresentation to consumers that they could not go to court to attempt to prevent wrongful garnishments. And also, from what I was reading more in the court action, also, is that they were making people believe that what was done was just there was no way to overturn it. There was nothing that could be done because it came from the court. And what the Consumer Financial Protection Act of 2010 states is when it comes to this here specifically is that you do have a right to contest if your account is being frozen for garnishment by a debt collector, that you can actually have everything hung up until you have another court date. A lot of people don't know that. And what I'm starting to see a lot now, it's happened before. I don't want to say that it's something new, but I'm just seeing a lot of it happen right now is where the debt collectors are sending documents to companies and they are not really telling individuals their rights when it comes to having money taken out of their account or uh, if there are exempt from being garnished or the amount of money that they can be garnished. We had just had a lady come in yesterday to the office that was being garnished, and she was 100% exempt from being able to be garnished. And they had already taken out money from one of her checks. And we looked at the documentation and we were showing her that if, and sometimes people don't read or they don't understand it also, but if you just look at this document, it specifically states that you are not able to be garnished. But if you don't fill it out and get it to the right people, they're going to be able to garnish your wages. And this is similar with what happened with Bank of America. Bank of America was just like, hey, let's just take the information and garnish you. The money's in the account. We don't want to go through any issues. We don't want to tell the creditor or the debt collection company that we can't give them the money because we want to make sure that our customers are protected. They just, you know, gave over the money. And the CFPB said that this was a outright violation. You can see right here it says this conduct violates the CFPB. The Bureau has also found that Bank of America failed to disclose to courts in states that restricted the garnishment of out-of-state accounts that the garnishment notice pertained to bank accounts located out of state. And Bank of America froze accounts and sent funds to creditors, even though prohibited by the state, by state law. Bank of America also, in some instances, applied the wrong state's exemption laws and represented to consumers that their rights have certain funds exempted from garnishment were governed by the law of the issuing state when in reality the consumer's own state laws applies. consent order, and this is because they're a national bank, they're going to just basically go off of what where all the information was sent from, but they didn't even pay attention to where you might reside. The consent order requires Bank of America to refund at least $592,000 or cancel associated unlawful garnishment related fees and pay a $10 million civil money penalty. The order also requires Bank of America to review and reform its system for processing garnishments, to notify courts and other garnishment issuers when consumer accounts are out of state, and to cease using language in its consumer contracts that unlawful limit consumers' rights to challenge a garnishment. So this is, just to be clear, it's not just about garnishments that came across state lines, which would be considered a foreign garnishment. It also pertains to if you live in your state and the garnishment was from your state, that you still have rights. They can't just go and take the money out of your account. As a matter of fact, what will usually happen is you'll get a notification from the bank, and then you have to immediately do this. I tell people this over and over. You have to immediately go to the courthouse and ask them what is the document that you need to file to contest them being able to take the money out of your account. And then when you get that form, file it, and then you take it immediately to your bank so no funds will be transferred. At least the funds can sit there until stuff is worked out, or they may release a portion. But at least you won't have the funds have to go and then have to come back. And then another thing, if your account is shared by another individual, your spouse, that is not named in the uh, garnishment, they cannot freeze the entire account. They have to, it's done different by different banks, but the way I've seen it done is that they've allowed a portion to be put into a reserve, and then you're able to have access to the other portion. So the laws are going to vary in every state. That's why it's very important to educate yourself about the number one, the garnishment exemption. So just in case you're being garnished and you weren't even supposed to be able to be garnished because you are exempt according to the laws of your state, and there are certain federal exemptions also. Then next, uh, get down there and contest uh, freezing of your account, or if you are being garnished and you're not exempt, but you want to make sure that the amount that they're garnishing is the appropriate amount. And it doesn't even end there. We do this all the time in our office. If the garnishment is hurting you financially, you can renegotiate with the attorney to have the garnishment amount lowered. We do this all the time in our office. They rather be able to know that they're going to get the money than to push you into bankruptcy and end up getting no money. We've seen where individuals were being garnished every 2 weeks on their paycheck, a couple of $100 every 2 weeks, getting that reduced to $100 a month, or sometimes $150 a month, or reducing it to $50, and then they increased it over time, because this is part of what they want to be able to get done, is to be able to get paid. And if you're not paying any money, it's gonna make their goal of getting paid go down the drain. And also, stop looking at it as if it's just your account. You might be thinking, well, they're going to just take $50 from me when they could take 200. And if I can prove that I can only afford $50, why would they take $50? Because they're dealing with thousands of accounts. They're not just dealing with your account. So stop thinking about it on just with you. Stop just being focused on yourself and look at the big picture on how, if number one, see if you're exempt. Number two, if you're not exempt, see how you can rework a better plan of paying the debt back. All the debt collection companies will work with you. You just have to get to the right department, get with the right representative so they can present it to the people who make the decisions on that. All right, so thank you for your time. Please like this video. Please post your questions and comments. If you need help with your credit, please visit us at thecreditrepairshop.com. Watch the video, What Makes Us Different, so you can see my 8-point validation process and my two-phase settlement process. If you need your credit reports and scores, go to the website yournumber3scores.com. All the links are below this video here. If you have debt collectors coming after you, grab my 3 pack of letters, the statute of limitations letter, debt validation letter, cease and desist collection activities letter. These letters can help stop debt collectors before it even gets to this situation that we're talking about with Bank of America right here. So thank you for your time. Please subscribe to the channel, post your questions and comments.